Hello, my name is Darryl Robert Schoon, and I'm here today with Ralph Terry Foster, owner, proprietor of Foster Coin and Stamp in Berkeley, in business for 38 years, and a dealer in the secondary markets of gold and silver. But we're not going to talk about those markets today. I am here along with Ralph as fellow authors, and I want to explain how I came across his book. I am a busy person. People tell me I should read this, I read that, and every once in a while I do. But generally, I'm on my own trail looking for my own information. And I'd heard about your book, all right, as I've heard about many. But what caused me to actually pick it up was I was reading an article by an esteemed person in our field called John Williams. He's known for having the website Shadow Stats. I believe that's what it is.
Shadow Stats.
Okay? And John Williams is a numbers guy. Solid numbers guy. His claim to fame in my world is that he's gone back and he publishes the true figures that the government no longer does. The true unemployment figures, the true inflation figures, before they started screwing around with CPI, before they started doing these fancy in and outs of adjusting this and that, to basically con the American public into thinking that they're doing a better job than they're doing. I say the analogy is the purpose of the government statistics is to make the chickens on Colonel Sanders' chicken farm feel happy. So when the day comes of slaughter, they're not filled with angst and anxiety, and the chicken generally will taste better, you know, to the proprietors, all right? John Williams is publishing those real figures, all right? I was reading one of John Williams' paper, and he noted as a reference one person, one book, and that was you, and that was your book. So I went and I got the book, and I was stunned. My book, I talk about in the current crises, all right, deals with gold, deals with, you know, the dollar, deals. It's very much a book of the moment. I predicted in 2007 the collapse that was going to come, a number of things like that. All right, your book almost doesn't talk about gold at all.
Well, the book is not about gold. It's about fiat monetary, national fiat monetary systems.
All right, as it is. Ralph's book, I read it, all right? Here it is. It's called Fiat Paper Money, the History and Evolution of Our Currency. All right? Now, I was at dinner with Ralph last night, and he made a remark. And he hired Berkeley grad students to do the research on this.
Yes.
And that's why it's world-class research. You have references to books that are out of print, that go back hundreds of years, all right, about paper money.
Yes.
And the history of it, all right? And you made a remark about two of your graduate students who said, essentially, you do it. They couldn't get a grant.
How could I get a government grant if I wrote a book about fiat paper money? And my biggest attribute is I received no government grants, and I'm proud of it. I did my own research without any money from anybody else. I did my own work. 20 years in the making, there it is.
All right. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most extraordinary books you're ever going to run into. All right? It was for me, and it was critical. Even though it had very little to do with gold and silver, it was always in the background. It lurks like a phantom.
Yes.
Over everything he talked about. Of the history of paper money, how it started in China, with country after country, time after time, the experiment with fiat currencies. All right? Now, most of the people who are watching this program don't understand this at all. They don't understand what the consequences are. They don't understand the context. And I want you to tell a story about a party you went to recently and what struck you about it.
It was a wonderful party of a neighbor of ours who just bought a house right next to ours. All young people, and probably late 40s was the oldest one there, except for myself and my wife. Well, at least myself.
That's good.
Well over 70.
All right.
They were half my age or younger.
Okay.
I worked for a cosmetic company, and he was the husband, his wife, and the husband works at UC Berkeley. And I got a sad impression that these people, they don't really know much about money or investing or alternatives or how our money has got the way it's got.
Yes.
To me, that's extremely important.
Yes.
How our dollar and the currencies of the world have got the way they got.
Yes.
And I mentioned this, of all things, the next morning, in comes a man I've known for a few decades, my editor.
Okay.
And he helped edit the book and bring it forward. Brilliant young man. And he made a comment, and I wrote it down. 3 little sentences. And I said, Paul, that's brilliant. He said, it's sad. They don't know any better. They have no other point of reference. And I said, my, yes, they have no point of reference. They haven't been educated about how exchange is an essence that's like death. If you can't exchange your money or what is for something, you're in great trouble. And I went forward. Allow me my notes. I don't have a great memory sometimes. Like, why I wrote my book was to protect people like these from the assumptions we have all made, we, even myself, have made about our money. They must comprehend what they are facing if their net worth is dependent on the value of a fiat money. What is a currency collapse really like? What can it do firsthand to humans? And what can you do to protect yourself? Well, you need credible answers. You need credible primary source material. My book provides that with an extensive bibliography and an interviews. But still, I'm but one source, one book. If you're to question with blind confidence, if you're to question the blind confidence we pay our fiat paper money, you must have a lot of facts, and you must pursue more and more facts to cope with the dangers of this illusion. Credible insights are the utmost importance. They provide the reference point, like Paul said, the reference point. They have no reference point. You need facts, the truth, incontrovertible truth for that reference point. May I bring forward another book?
Sure.
This isn't new. This has been around since 1957. It's a fictional novel written by a gentleman called Remarque. It's credible. New York University thinks so. They have a huge space for his 62,000 diaries, manuscripts, letters, photographs, documents, and personal effects to all the books that Remarque wrote. All Quiet on the Western Front he wrote in 1929. This one he wrote in 1957. The beauty of this book is, in a way, it kind of shows you what a currency collapse is really like, because he was selling gravestones, and worked in a piano in an insane asylum in 1923 Germany, Württemberg, Germany. So he lived this hyperinflation, and he has some great stories. Suicides, the problems people face. I mean, I have several pages written. It's unnecessary to really delve too much into it at this point in time, because the material he talks about in the are side notes of things that really happened. And they're events of the time that he lived and experienced. I'll put that right here. I would like to stress one thing. In chapter 4 he mentions, ones who profit are the exchange kings. Now, what does he mean by an exchange king? The guy who has something that people want. He commands those paper marks. The profiteers, the foreigners, they buy what they like with a few dollars. It is the great sellout of thrift, honest effort, and respectability. The vultures flock from all sides.
Now, when he wrote this, the US dollar, if you had a US dollar in hyperinflationary Germany, you could have bought anything you wanted for virtually pennies on the dollar, because you had a real currency and everybody else's was just unbacked. It had no exchange value. It had no exchange value. All right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, in chapter 5, he mentions, for as little as $100, you can buy a house that used to be worth 40,000 gold marks, or say $8,000.
Yes.
Before the war, World War I. What this shows is all value of anything dependent on the value of a fiat unit for its value is also shattered. Frighteningly enough, even real estate. To what degree and what point and how it will come about in the future is anybody's guess. But if you had $100 and or a few ounces of gold or a hard currency, which we have none today, do we? We don't really have hard currencies
Not
anywhere.
at all. Anywhere.
In 1923, the dollar was 1 ounce of gold.
Yes.
0.967
Yeah.
ounces of gold was a $20 gold piece.
Yes.
So $100 was 5 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
Everything is
ounces of-
shattered.
Yeah.
That's the frightening thing.
Yes.
The point of reference is
gone. That's
Right.
See, that's exactly what Paul said about the young people.
yeah, they have
About
no
what
point
they
of
have no
reference.
point of reference. No point of reference.
We remember silver coins being circulated.
Yes, they were there, and then they disappeared.
Now a silver dime, I'm paying $22.20 for a silver dime. And a few years ago, when silver was with the high price of gold almost pushing 50, I was paying $2.90.
Now,
That's hard to believe when I used just 5 silver dimes for a lunch back in 1957.
Remark made the point that you just read, that in times that he went through, in the destruction of currency, the vultures could sweep in and buy what they wanted for essentially virtually nothing if they had real currency.
Yes.
Okay, now, this is the book. This is a copy, basically, with updates of a talk I gave in 2007 before a private network. All right? The third edition is called Time of the Vulture. All right? Exactly what he said. The vultures could sweep in and pick up whatever they wanted. All right? I want to read something from the introduction that I said here. And it is this. This is the time of the vulture. For the vulture feeds neither upon the pastures of the bull, nor the stored up wealth of the bear. The vulture feeds instead upon the blind ignorance and denial of the ostrich. The time of the vulture is at hand. It's a sad commentary. And this is what your friend Paul told you. It is sad. They have no point of reference. They have no understanding. They have no context. There's no way that most people can understand what is about to happen, because it has never happened in their lifetime. This was the latest time it happened in the Western culture, in Germany in 1923, when a monetary crisis of vast proportions destroyed everything of wealth in Germany. All right? It was a monetary crisis. Now, I want to read something I wrote even before this. This is how the book opens here. The air's going bad. What do you mean the air's going bad? The sky's not blue. It's dirty and turning brown. And there's more. There's more? The water's not too good either. and something's wrong with the weather. The air's bad, the water's not good either, and something's wrong with the weather. Next, you're going to say, something's wrong with our money. Well, now that you've brought it up, this is what this book is about. Now, I want to say something. For you gold nuts out there, and I love you, I'm one of you. They know, they've gone over this, they've seen the movie, they know the background, they know the currency moves, they understand what's going on. This book and Ralph's book, these two books will give you the context and the facts that you need to rouse you to an understanding of what we are about to go through. All right? When I gave my talk in 2007, I predicted certain things were going to happen. And this is what I believe in a medical sense it's about, Ralph. The 2000 and the dot-com collapse, all right? When the markets went down, boom! The stock markets collapsed in the 2000 after that historic run-up was like a heart attack. The economic system had a heart attack, all right? Boom! Patients in trouble. Pump them up again. So they pumped them up. They lowered interest rates from 5.5% down to 1%. They created a property bubble, all right? You had a collapse of a stock market bubble in 2000. You had the collapse of a massive property bubble in 2008. The stock market bubble was like a heart attack. The property bubble was like a stroke. All right? You've now got the global economy basically comatose. Doctors 24/7. Insurance agents. The room is loaded with trying to keep him up. All right? They're just, you know, and he's not dead. And the fact that he's not dead, people are hopeful because they didn't expect him to go this far. But I want to tell our viewers what this is about. They've already had the heart attack. They've already had the stroke. But when we're talking about a monetary crisis, Ralph, we're talking about a blood disease of the greatest disorder, a blood disease, leukemia, that destroys the circulation, that takes it from the organs to the muscles to the brain. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what our books are about.
The paper money is the blood of a nation, the blood of our country, the blood of our world.
That's exactly what it is.
Paper money is... Where's our alternatives now?
There are none. There are none. For the first time in the history of the world,
yes,
every country in the world is on paper money. This never happened before. Now, where we are now is we're about there. And for those of you who are listening, I want to tell you, Ralph and I, we just went out to dinner last night. For the price of our two books, easily covered the price of the dinner when we went out. And if you have any questions, I can only say it's up to you. Fiat Paper Money, Time of the Vulture. My website, www.Schoon, authors page, sidebar references you. It's your choice. Thank you.